Okay, we're ready to get started. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We are so excited to be back doing these webinars. This is our first webinar of this application cycle. As you all probably know, our fall 24 application is open now, and we are excited to be with you today to talk about our MCIT Online program. So we have a wonderful guest speaker today. Professor Brandon Krakowsky has graciously agreed to be here today, and he's going to be talking about the two courses that he teaches in the MCIT Online program. So we are thrilled to have him today, and you guys are not going to be disappointed. He really has great insight into the program, and he is a graduate of the program as well. So he's going to give you some insight of what the program has done for him. So you're kind of going to get two perspectives, kind of a perspective of his student outlook on things, and also as a professor and what the courses can offer you as well. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jacquie Panto. I am the Associate Director of Admissions, and I work with all of you along with the rest of the admissions team to help you get ready for the admissions process and the application, and hopefully answer all of your questions you have along the way. So I look forward to working with you over the next month or few months to help you with the admissions process. Before we actually, oops. Before we actually get started, I just want to go over some housekeeping tips with you. First of all, I do want to let you know that we are being recorded. So there is no need to take notes. You can 100% pay attention, and you can go back and watch this as many times as you want. Usually takes us about a week or so, maybe about a week, to get this loaded onto our YouTube channel, and then you'll be able to view this. We have lots of great webinars on that channel, so I definitely invite you to go through and take a look at them. You can gain a lot of information about our programs and about the admissions process. If you have questions during this webinar, what we want you to do is to use the Q&A function. Type your question out in that Q&A function. We have quite a few members of our team behind the scenes. They're going to be answering those questions through the Q&A. And then also some questions will be saved till the end. We'll have about 20 minutes or so at the end of the webinar where Professor Krakowsky or myself can answer the questions live on camera. But definitely any questions that you have, you want to make sure that you put them in that Q&A function so that we can answer them for you. Before I turn it over to Professor Krakowsky, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why a Penn Engineering Online degree and what that means. And a couple things that I wanted to point out is that the online degree is the same as the on-campus degree. And we have three main huge points of difference between us and other programs out there, other schools out there that I wanted to point out. One has to do with our faculty. Through the online program, you will study with the same world-renowned faculty that our on-campus students learn with and study with. So our MCIT program, our on-campus program, has been around for quite a few years. Even though our online program is fairly new, the on-campus program has been around, and you have the opportunity to work with some of the best faculty in the world. And these are all faculty members that are heavily involved with research, and you all as students would have the opportunity to take advantage of that. The other thing is that being an online program, it provides a lot of flexibility. All of our courses are asynchronized, and Professor Krakowsky is going to talk about how his programs or how his courses are structured. So you'll get to hear more about that in a little bit. And then as far as how many courses you want to take, that's all up to you. You design your schedule. On our website, we do have sample schedule plans, and you can see how long it can take you dependent upon how many courses you take per semester. We have quite a few students that take one course a semester. We call those the turtles. They're the Turtle Club. We use Slack, which we'll talk about later on. And so their title on the Slack channel is the Turtle Club, because they're taking one course at a time. So between all of the amazing faculty you get to work with, the flexibility of the program, the asynchronized courses, and of course, the community. We're going to spend a lot of time on the community at the end of the webinar, but we have an incredible community of students, community of faculty, community of TAs. Everybody is willing to help one another, and there's so many resources out there to collaborate with faculty, with TAs, with other students. So this is definitely not an isolating program. We have a strong, very, very collaborative and energetic community for sure. The MCIT program, as you know, it is a one of, maybe you don't know, but what I'm going to tell you is it's a one-of-a-kind program. It's basically a computer science program that's designed for individuals that have no computer science background or very little computer science background. Our students come from all different bachelor degree majors. It could be business, it could be liberal arts, whatever the case may be, but you do not need an undergraduate CS degree to apply to our program. And again, like I mentioned, you graduate with the same diploma as our on-campus students. It's a Master's of Computer and Information Technology program. Again, a program that is one of a kind, designed for those individuals that do not have a CS background. So that gives you a little bit of background on the program, about Penn. And what I want to do right now is I want to turn the presentation over to Professor Krakowsky. Brandon, thank you so much for being with us today. We greatly appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And thanks for the introduction to the program and to me. I'm Brandon Krakowsky. I'm the instructor for CIT 5910, which is Introduction to Software Development. That's going to be the first course that you're going to take in the program. So it's basically an introduction to programming using Python and Java. And I'll get more into that as we move through the slides. I also teach a new course. It's a half-credit course. It's EAS 5740, How to Use Data. And this is essentially an overview of the mechanics of data, how to use data in different ways. And really what it is an overview of the data analytics process. And I'll get into that as well as we move through the slides. I'm also the instructor for Introduction to Programming with Python and Java. This is a specialization on Coursera if you're interested in taking that. It's basically an intro to 5910 and the MCIT program. So it gives you a taste of what's in that first course and some of the other content as you move through the program. I'm also the head of experiential learning and education at Analytics at Wharton. What I do there is manage research and experiential learning projects using data. So we partner with companies, we get data sets, we get business problems, and we work on these data analytics projects with students and or with faculty and deliver insights and results to companies, solve their business problems. And then further down on the slide, you could see I have a bachelor's degree in communications and American studies from Boston College, and I am a graduate of the MCIT program some number of years ago. I won't mention how many. So a little bit more about me. So I started out as a musician way back, and I worked in radio broadcasting and audio production. That was kind of my first, I guess my first career was working in radio. My experience in programming began with Flash, Adobe Flash. This is a tool I use to develop a live web conferencing platform for Big Pharma. I did that for a number of years when I worked in industry, streaming audio, Flash, users interacting via, this is, you can imagine the original, one of the original web conferencing platforms, pre-WebEx, pre-Zoom. That's the type of platform that I developed. I received my degree in the MCIT program from Penn around 2009. And then I worked as a programmer at Penn School of Design. Then I worked as an application developer for Wharton Computing, moved into that role for a couple of years. I worked with faculty and staff to build technology to advance student programs. And after that, I started my own company, called it Bleak LLC. This is basically allowing me to work on programming and freelance application development projects outside of work. So really what it was freelance work that I kind of wrapped in an LLC. So it was an opportunity for me to work on different types of projects and, of course, to make extra money. I transitioned into data analytics, became the head of experiential learning and education at Wharton Customer Analytics, which is now Analytics at Wharton. And what I do there is I manage large-scale research projects and experiential learning projects using data with students and academic researchers from around the world. And then in 2018, I became a lecturer at Penn Engineering. A little bit more about me. I play bass. That's me playing bass. I've been playing bass for many, many years. I do play a variety of styles, but prefer music on the funkier side. I've been in several bands. I've traveled quite a bit, and I also write and record my own music. If you Google me, you might find a couple of tunes. if you're interested. So what did the MCIT program do for me? It did a lot, actually. So I worked in industry for about 10 years before I enrolled in the program and went back to school, if you will. This was around the time I was working in Adobe Flash and I was working on web conferencing technology. So I was pretty much self-taught when it came to programming. So I had a lot of holes in my knowledge and my skills. I knew what I knew. I knew how to do what I was doing really well in Flash, but had large gaps in other areas. So I really lacked basic knowledge of basic programming principles, object-oriented concepts, and it was not that easy for me to pick up other programming languages. It also took me twice as long to figure things out. So I sort of understood what I was doing, but I had to, it was kind of trial and error, write code, see if it works, see if it's achieving the goal. It took me a long time to really build the platform and whatever projects I was working on at the time with programming. I did have a really good job building this platform, and I was good at it, but I felt like I was stuck because I only knew what I knew in that role. So what else? So what did the program do for me? No particular order. So it filled my knowledge gaps. That was one of the big things it did, both on the academic side and in practice. So I programmed quite a bit in the program. So, the best way to program is to actually program. So just the constant programming in the program itself really improved my skill. And then of course I filled in a lot of my gaps. Helped me better understand what I was already doing correctly and incorrectly. So my code worked. I understood what my code was doing. I understand why it works, and I understand why particular pieces of code was not working as I thought it should work. So this really helped me really understand the code, kind of understand what I had already written historically. Taught me a ton of basic computer science knowledge, taught me how to think more analytically and logically, to solve problems by breaking them down, gave me an appreciation for the beauty of code. That's not something I had ever been aware of. It was basically write code to get the job done. Had no sense of, writing good code or writing code, repeated code, or just a sense of the elegance of how code could look. Even though it might work the same way, it might be more efficient and easier to read. Gave me the leverage to transition into other programming and technology related roles, definitely. And then taught me to quote unquote speak the language. So how to interact with and manage other programmers. So came with filling in my gaps and also just learning a bit about programming and computer science on the academic side. And then, of course, gave me lots of connections, networking. Jacquie, you want to take this?
Absolutely, no problem. I couldn't unmute myself there. Absolutely. So this is our overall MCIT online curriculum, and then Professor Krakowsky will talk about the courses that he teaches. But basically, the MCIT program is a total of 10 course units, and you will take as a student 6 required core courses. So the first the 6 courses that you're seeing here, we call those the core courses. That kind of gives you the nuts and the bolts of everything else that's to come. And then you'll take 4 elective courses, and you'll have a wide variety of courses to choose from in those elective courses. So what Professor Krakowsky is going to talk about, obviously, is the first course, which is 5910, which is the first core course. And then he also teaches a half course, a half unit course, as well as one of the elective courses, which we'll talk to you about as well in a little bit. So it's 10 course units. And again, you can configure how you're going to take those course units in terms of the number of courses per semester.
Great. So let me get into the course content of the course a little bit. So 5910, this is Introduction to Software Development. Again, this is the first course you're going to take in the program. It's an introduction to the fundamental concepts of programming. We start with Python. The first half of the course is Python. Students are really introduced to core programming concepts, data structures, conditionals, loops, variables, functions. Includes an overview of the various tools available for writing and running Python, and gets students coding quickly. You'll be coding the first week. And we also introduce multiple tools for writing and running Python. So I think it's important to note that there's a lot of available tools and platforms out there for writing and running code. We introduced several in Python in the first half of the course. Lots of hands-on coding exercises. Also provides an introduction to basic data science techniques using Python. So we introduce Python, how to write Python, build a number of games and other types of applications. And then we get into data science just a little bit. So how to analyze data, load data, answer questions about data, some basic data science techniques. And then the second half of the course is an introduction to object-oriented programming using Java. So then we transition into Java. So this includes an overview of Java syntax and how it compares to a language like Python. We move into the second half. We start a new language, but we bring a lot of the concepts over into the new language, but we learn the new syntax of Java. You'll learn how to write custom Java programs, just like you're writing custom Python programs the first half. And the second half, we're writing Java programs. And you learn how to test your code using test-driven development. So not only do we write code for the program, but we write other code to test our program, make sure our code's working as expected. Students are introduced to concepts like polymorphism, inheritance, abstract classes, interfaces, and other advanced data structures. Provides an introduction to techniques for reading and writing to files, connecting to databases, and parsing and manipulating text. We do a lot of this in Java towards the end. And then we also get into various strategies for debugging code. So live debugging of your code, running your code and seeing what's happening line by line using a couple of different debuggers. Generally speaking, the course material includes produced audio and video content. So there's a lot of content, a lot of videos. These are more, I guess you could say, lecture videos. And then we have in-depth coding demonstrations and explanations. Those are videos as well. Walking through exercises that are associated with each topic. Substantial programming assignments in both Python and Java every 1 to 2 weeks throughout the course. A lot of readings, which provide additional background material and coding tips. Regular quizzes to assess general comprehension. We have a lot of practice coding exercises. These are similar to the coding exercises you'll find in the specialization on Coursera. If you go through that, a lot of those same practice assignments you'll find actually in the first course. So that transitions nicely. There'll be live and recorded recitations on a weekly basis, live and recorded office hours, open office hours. And then we have monitored discussion forum, which is very active in this first course, 5910, Python coding midterm, Java coding final exam. Now let me talk about the new course, 5740, how to use data. This is a half credit course. So while 5910 is a full course, it's 14 weeks. This is 7 weeks. This is an elective. The only prerequisite for this course is 5910. So that works out nicely. You take that course, you have enough knowledge, enough programming knowledge to go through, enroll in the how to use data course. It's intended for students and professionals with minimal or no prior knowledge or experience with data, working with data, or with data analytics. You don't need any experience working with data, but you do not know you have to know how to program, specifically in Python. But if you've never worked with data, that's okay. This is a course for you. It requires experience with programming, like I said, Python, but no background in data analysis, data science, data visualization, even if you don't know what those are. We define all of those, which is very early in the course. What do all these terms mean? Generally speaking, the course is an excellent introduction for those who want to learn about the mechanics of data, performing data analysis to gain insights, applying data science techniques to make predictions, and applying data analytics to answer questions to address interesting business problems. You're going to learn how to interpret and frame business problems to be addressed by analytics. That's a big part of data analytics. What are the questions that we're answering using the data? That's a big part of it. So we'll learn the mechanics of it, but also how to apply the insights to actually answer business questions. So you're going to learn about the different elements along the data analytics process: data wrangling and cleaning, data exploration, descriptive analytics, data modeling, machine learning and predictive analytics, and data visualization, And then presentation of analysis and insights using data storytelling. These are all the elements of the data analytics process. We do touch upon enough essential theoretical and technical concepts, but the goal of this course is to be practical. So the primary focus is the practical application of data skills. You'll learn just enough about the math behind the models, but we really focus on the code to write the models and run the models. That's really the focus of the course. How do I do it? How do I actually build a regression model? How do I query a database using SQL? How do I visualize data using Tableau? And then we tie that back to the business questions. So similar to 5910, the format of the content is almost the same in terms of the produced audio and video content. Lecture videos, and then we have in-depth coding demonstrations and explanations, which are also videos. We have assignments every week in this course. So I think there's almost every week. We have about 5 assignments. So there's a lot of assignments, but they're not as time-consuming as the assignments you might find in 5910. But associated with each module, we're going to have some type of exercise or assignment. All the assignments, the good news is all the assignments are group projects. Every single assignment in this course, you can work with up to 2 other students. So that's good news. So, 3 heads are better than 1. So, working through the course material with 3 as part of a group is a lot less time consuming and productive than doing it on your own. And then at the end of the course, there's a final data analytics project, which requires a recorded presentation. The objective of the final assignment is to complete an entire data analytics project from beginning to end. We give you a project objective, scope, and a data set, and you have to answer the questions, address the scope of the project using data, and you have to deliver a final presentation, which is recorded, 5 minutes. We'll also have readings with additional background information throughout the course, quizzes similar to 5910, practice coding exercises, which are not graded. They're just for practice, recitations, office hours, and discussion forums to support the course. These are the modules in the course, so you get a little more sense of what actually is covered. The first module is a short module. It's one of the shortest modules in the course. What is data? What is data analysis? What is data analytics? What is data science? What do all these terms mean, right? People throw these around and sometimes use data analytics interchangeably with data analysis. They're not really the same thing. We talk about defining a business problem. Okay, how do you define a business problem? What does that look like? What are the types of problems that companies want to answer? Module 2 is an introduction to data wrangling, specifically using SQL. We load a database where we learn how to query and manipulate the data in the database using SQL. Module 2 is long, much longer than Module 1. Module 3 is EDA, or exploratory data analysis using Python. So here's where the Python skills are going to come into use. How to explore data, load and explore data using Python. Introduction to predictive analytics. We look at regressions and decision trees using Python. How do we write the code? How do we configure it? How do we interpret the models, the output of the models? That's an important part. The next module is basically more models. So advanced predictive analytics, we look at random forests and clustering using Python. So it's more of the same. It's more models. How do we write the code and how do we interpret the results? These all use different data sets that we provide. And then module 6 is a little bit different. We get into data visualization, but with a completely different tool. We're not going to be programming. We're going to use Tableau. Tableau is used widely in industry. So the idea is let's use Tableau to visualize data. So it kind of skims the surface of what you could actually do with Tableau. There's so much you can do. You can build dashboards. You can do interactive visualizations. We show you how to do a variety of visualizations and configure those visualizations in Tableau. So an introduction to what Tableau is, where to find it, how to install it, and then, of course, provide you with some data sets and ask you to answer questions using data visualizations that you create in Tableau. The final module is also sort of a short module. We talk about presenting insights and data storytelling, how to deliver the insights to answer the business questions. How do you present your work to stakeholders at a company? And that's it. Those are the details of both courses. So I hope hope they are of interest and you're excited. Really excited about 5910. I've been running it for a number of years in this format. There's a lot of content in there. And then of course the new course, the half credit course, how to use data, is very exciting as well. Really tries to focus on, again, the practical application of data, of the mechanics of data, how to work with it, and data analytics.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. That was wonderful. I think that, a couple of things that come to mind with me too, other than obviously the incredible course content, is if you really listened about how the courses are structured. I mean, our online program and our online courses are really, not all online programs are the same. Not all online courses are the same. And I think what Professor Krakowsky has explained is that, there's really so many components of what this course is all about, from, there's quizzes, there's assignments, there's modules released. So even though you are choosing when to take your courses and when to do your work within those modules, course content is released at a certain time and due at a certain time. And, there is some structure to the online programs, and there's a lot of material and a lot of different moving parts. And there's, those recorded project that Professor Krakowsky talked about. So there's a lot of different elements within that online course. And there's lots of opportunities to interact within those online courses as well. So I think it really makes it pretty dynamic, and just an excellent way to learn for sure. What I wanted to talk about and spend some time on, so to kind of bring this all together, is to talk about our online community. And this isn't just for our MCIT program. This is our overall online community with all of our programs. Our students are really given many, many resources to collaborate, and not just to collaborate with other students, but to collaborate with our professors, to collaborate with our TAs, to collaborate with all of us from a staff standpoint. But the main way we communicate, there's a couple ways, but the main way is Slack. Slack is like a super communication power. This is how all of our students really get to know one another. Mostly all of our courses, I believe all of our courses have Slack channels. So once you are in a course, there'll be a Slack channel for that course. You can talk amongst yourselves within that course Slack channel. In addition to that, there's Slack channels based on, say, geographic location. I've had several meetings with current students over the past month or so, and I talk a lot about how they collaborate with other students. And basically, they say it all starts on Slack, but then a lot of times in terms of geographic locations, they actually schedule meetups and they meet with other students within their areas. And maybe they form study groups or from a social standpoint or whatever. So Slack is a great way, great communication tool, and it's definitely the primary way that our students communicate. We also have LinkedIn groups. There's an alumni LinkedIn group, student LinkedIn groups, another great way to collaborate and to network for sure. There's a student organization. This is a student-run organization called MOSA. They hold a lot of events. Everyone is welcome to take part in MOSA. And again, we really don't have anything to do with it. It's all student run, but they do have a ton of events. And I really would invite you to take a look at MOSA on our website. And so it's a great way to get involved with the community. In addition to that, we host lots of different events. So our student affairs team is amazing. Once you become a student, you'll be assigned an advisor. And our student affairs team, they host lots of different events. They host meetups. We do road shows where our career services department, as well as our student affairs team, will go out to a particular area. They'll meet with students. They'll hold meetings at some of our business partners, our technical partners in that geographic area, and they'll hold meetings there. There's alumni weekend. Of course, there's homecoming. We also have a fall fest every year where we invite all of our online students to campus to take part in our fall fest. It's a 3-day event. It's lots of networking, lots of socializing, but our professors take part in it. Some of our professors will hold various workshops and sessions, so you have an opportunity to meet them face to face. So everybody's invited to that. And of course, graduation. We want our online students who are graduating to come to campus, to come to commencement, and to be a part of that. So we really do our best to provide the resources so that you can collaborate with one another, help each other. We have a very, very helpful community, and students really, just love to meet one another, and to help one another. And I think that really, really sets us apart from other online programs out there for sure. So just a little bit of time on the application. I know some of you are going to be at this particular point in time at different stages of the application. Some maybe didn't even start the application. Some might have started. Maybe some already submitted. But our application, in order to submit an application, there's several parts to the application. But you definitely need to have a resume, personal statement, and all of your transcripts for every school that you attended. So for every class and grade you received, you need to submit a transcript for those courses, for those schools. So that's what's needed to actually submit your application. Your resume, your personal statement, transcripts for every school. Those transcripts do not need to be official at this point in time. You need to upload PDF copies of your transcript into the application, and then there's a $90 application fee. Part of the application is recommenders. You need to have at least 2 letters of recommendation in order for your application to be reviewed, but we strongly urge you to seek 3. And seeking 3 provides a safety net for you. Recommendations are out of your control. You're at the mercy of your recommender, so to speak. So you can't control when they're going to send those recommendations in, but they must be in by deadline in order for us to review your application. So that's why we tell you to seek 3. You do not need to have letters of recommendations attached to your application at the time you submit. As soon as you put in the contact information, we generate an automatic email out to them with a unique link, and then they can upload the recommendation when they complete it. So you can submit your application, and then your recommendations can come later, but they need to be in by deadline. Our GREs are optional. Our GREs are a tool to show proof of quantitative ability. So although you don't need a computer science degree or any computer science background for this program, you do need to be able to show proof of quantitative ability. And that proof is generally going to come either in a grade, so a transcript, a grade on a transcript. So we look at all quantitative courses, but particularly math courses. And those applicants that feel they don't have enough proof of quantitative ability in terms of courses on transcripts, some of them tend to choose to take the GRE or the GMAT. But again, it's optional. And a TOEFL would apply to all of our applicants who are not U.S. citizens and English is not their primary language. Then you would need to provide a TOEFL. Once you start and submit that application, we do have a portal. When you log into your application, you'll go right to your status page, and you'll be able to keep in check and see when those materials come in. So you'll be able to see when the letters of rec are submitted. If you are supplying a GRE or a GMAT score, you'll be able to see when that gets checked off that we received it, or your TOEFL score. So that status page is really important to keep in check with those missing materials. You can see all of our deadlines on the right-hand side of the page. We do have early deadline coming up on March 1st. I can't believe it's now less than a month away, but early application deadline, which does include our scholarship. If you are interested in the Dean's Master's Scholarship, you must submit for early deadline. We do not offer the Dean's Master's Scholarship for regular decision deadline. It's only offered in the early decision deadline. So you can see all of the dates there, and then this would be for classes starting in August 2024. Okay, so before we get into more questions, I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute, and then we can get into some of our questions that you all have been asking throughout the webinar. So I am going to see here. Let's see what we have. Okay, looks like this one's probably for you, Brandon. It says, Do we get computer science jobs or IT jobs? Since it is CIT, computer information technology, is it more towards programming, networking, security?
Yeah, I would say it's more focused. This program is more focused on the practical application of technology versus a computer science degree, which might be more focused on the theory or the mathematics behind the technology. This is more focused on the practical applications of technology. So you can look at the course curriculum and you can extract, what that means from the titles of the course. So I would say it's more focused on getting a job in IT. From my perspective, that's why I did it. I was working in IT, but I wanted to get more into programming, hands-on programming. This was the program that did that. This was the best program versus a computer science degree where you may do some programming, but you also are going to likely do other types of theory-based courses. Um, how does you think about like how does it all work on the back end? This is more focused on the practical application of the technology. So I would say more focused on those jobs in IT that you listed.
And I think that the other thing though to consider, because I know this question comes up a lot, is if you take the degrees, a traditional computer science degree and our master's in computer information technology, one of the things that I have learned, so if you're going the traditional route and you have a bachelor's degree in computer science and then you go on to your master's in computer science, there's typically 4 core courses and 6 electives. For our program, because most of our students don't have that computer science background, we have to get everybody up to speed quickly. So our program has the 6 core courses and 4 electives. But from what I understand then, so everybody realizes this, when our MCIT students finish those 6 core courses, they're basically at the same point in terms of knowledge conferred as those individuals that went through a traditional Master's of Science program and went through those 4 core courses. So once you complete our core courses, you're pretty much, as a student, at that same level in terms of knowledge conferred as a traditional Master's of Science and Computer Science program. So I think there's lots of opportunities out there. And we actually, in the Q&A, we put our outcomes report. If you go to our website, you can look at our outcomes report and actually look where our graduates are getting jobs by industry, by job title, salary, et cetera. We go into a lot of detail with that as well, for sure. So you can even explore that more. Let's say it says, second question, I understand that MCIT recommends students to take courses on Coursera prior to starting the program. Do these courses overlap with coursework of the actual program? I can kind of take that, Brandon, and then maybe you can add to it, since I know you do the specialization for Python and Java. But the courses that are on Coursera are not for credit courses. So you're not getting a grade for those courses. What they're really used for is, number one, if you have no online coursework experience or online experience, it definitely helps you to understand the online platform and get a feel for online learning. That's number one. Number two, depending on which course you take, it's definitely going to give you a feel for our MCIT program as well. The specialization from Python and Java is taught by Professor Krakowsky. So he teaches, those lectures are his. And as from what I understand, it's a lot of the same lectures as 5910. Is that true?
Yep, it's a lot of the same lectures, a lot of the same coding demonstrations. The assignments are different. That's the big difference. The assignments are easier, right? They just give you they're easier assessments as you move through the specialization. So that's the big difference. And yeah, it's not for a grade, but you can get the Coursera certification, but it will give you a sense of a lot of the content in the first course.
Yeah, so it's really a good, some of our applicants, they use that as a base, as if they even want to proceed with a master's degree program. So there's some applicants that might take the specialization and they say, oh, I don't need a full master's degree. Like, this is enough, or maybe I just need another boot camp, or whatever the case may be, or I need a boot camp and I don't need a full master's degree. And that's fine. That's okay. We want to make sure that the students that are applying to this program are very passionate about the program. It's a rigorous program. if you do not have clear-cut goals and passion for the program, it's probably going to be very difficult to get through the program. And I'm sure Professor Krakowsky, could agree with me on that. So this gives you a good base knowledge. The other program that's the Coursera program, is computational thinking and problem solving. That is taught by Professor Susan Davidson, who teaches an elective in the MCIT program. And again, she also does a wonderful job with that course. So they're great for getting some background knowledge, for getting a feel for online learning, and it shows on your application that you've taken that initiative to take a little bit of a starting step. If you're looking to prove quantitative ability, those courses may not be enough to prove quantitative ability because there's no grade with them. You only can get a certification. So in order to prove quantitative ability, you really need courses with grades, math courses with grades, or you would need that GRE or GMAT. So I just want to make sure we point that out. The third question, and again, this is, if I want to become an AR or machine learning software engineer, would the MCIT program be a good program for me? And I mean, I would say yes, absolutely. Yes. Would you agree, Brandon?
I would agree and say yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's simple as that, without a doubt. And you can take a look again, if you go in and look at our course curriculum, you can see all of the courses that are offered. Again, you have to take the 6 core, but you get that freedom with the electives as well. And there's definitely a lot of great electives in there for sure. Then the next question has to do with math courses. Again, it seems like we have a lot of questions on Coursera and math courses. Do you have University of Penn math classes available on Coursera to show math proficiency relevant to the program? So again, it just goes back to what type of proof of quantitative ability you need. If you don't have a lot of math courses with grades, a Coursera course may not be enough because there's no grade attached to a Coursera course. But there is a math course on Coursera. It's a calculus course. It's taught by Professor, I think it's Grist is his name, Ghrist. And it is a Coursera calc course. But again, it may not be enough to prove quantitative ability, but maybe you had calc 15, 20 years ago and did well in it, and you just want a refresher, then that could be a good option for you. So it just kind of depends, where you are, what your background is, and how much math you have. So you kind of have to weigh all of that out for sure. Oh, and you kind of answered this, Professor Krakowsky, but maybe you could just speak to it again. Are the videos for 5910 tailored to online learning? Short videos, quiz, reading, exercises, which you kind of talked about, but maybe you can just reiterate that.
Yeah, all tailored to this course, online in general, online learning. These were created for the course, for online learning. These weren't taken from lectures in a classroom or anything like that. These are all made for the online learning experience in this course.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I get into this a lot. And I guess at some point in time, we'll maybe do a webinar and invite our instructional design team in. But, we have an entire instructional design team that works with our professors. And again, the new course that Professor Krakowsky talked about, of course, I can't remember the name of it. But Professor Krakowsky could tell you, he worked with our design team. He worked with our studio team. I mean, we have an entire team that works with our professors to put this together. These are not just, a professor reading a PowerPoint presentation or, being filmed in a classroom. This is thought out as to what our end users are going to need to learn. And that is, I can't speak enough about this. They really do an incredible, incredible job with this. Am I right?
Yes, they're a well-oiled machine and they are amazing to work with. Yeah,
for sure. Great. Yeah, we're going to have to do that. We'll have to get Elizabeth and her team on here to talk about that because it really is quite amazing what they do, for sure. And I think I explained about this, but how is the concept of CIT different from CS? And I think we kind of talked about that. Can I use the term CIT and CS interchangeably? We do talk about that the MCIT program is a computer science program. I mean, Professor Krakowsky kind of explained the differences of what you're getting, but, it really is a program that is designed for individuals that don't have a bachelor's degree in computer science for their way to either pivot into the technology industry through getting the computer science background, or sometimes they're self-taught. Like I mean, Brandon, you talked
Yeah.
about you were self-taught, but you could
Yeah.
just got to a certain point and you couldn't go any further. You
Right.
felt like you needed more. So you came back to get a formal education. We have a lot of those students too. And we also have a lot of students that, they're in the legal industry or they're in the healthcare industry, and they try to bridge the technology or the lack of technology within their own industries. So they're not coming to MCIT to necessarily jump into the technology industry, but they're coming to MCIT to get the computer science and that knowledge to enhance their own industry. And we call them career enhancers, which I'm sure you've talked with a lot of students that are doing that within their own industries. So that's the one neat thing about this program, is that you're getting people with lots of different backgrounds. It's not just all people with technical backgrounds. Am I right?
Oh yeah, that's all different backgrounds. I had a little bit of a technical background when I came in because obviously I was programming. So, you know, and that wasn't, I feel like at the time it was a real mix. Like some had some background and some had had never programmed, had no background at all. And the program does a great job of really fast tracking everyone to a certain point. So it is, like you talk about CS versus CIT, like it is a fast computer science program with a focus on the practical application of those skills. That's what I'll say. So I had a little experience. It probably helped me a little bit, but within a few weeks, I realized that even what I thought I knew pretty well, I didn't really. And it really, that it was like those first few weeks or few months were like, it was like a boot camp, for all of us, regardless of background.
Yeah, for sure. That's why sometimes I try to tell, our newly admitted students or our applicants, like if at all possible, you want to kind of in the beginning to stick with one or two courses, because it's a lot and it's a lot to get used to, especially, there's a lot of folks that haven't been in a classroom, regardless online or on inside a classroom. They haven't been in classroom for quite a long time, and it takes a while to get used to. And then the rigor of the coursework with our programs, it's a lot. So, that one or two courses a semester in the beginning, I think is key to kind of, get used to it. And then you can kind of figure out if you could add another one from there.
Yeah. I'll also say this too, because I know sometimes there's concern about, well, I work. Can I do the program? Is there enough time? I worked full time while I did the program on campus. I didn't do online. I did it on campus. And I maintained almost my full-time work status while doing the program full time for the first half. I eventually went to kind of taking one class at a time, but I think we were taking 3 classes at a time while working. So some students were working, some students were not. I know the online program has more folks that are working and maybe taking one class at a time. You can do it. You could definitely work and take one class at a time, especially with the online experience. It's way more flexible than the on-campus version, which I did like over 10 years ago. So I just want to say, note that I was working and doing the program full time, and it was a lot. I didn't have kids at the time, so it was, that was taken off of my plate. So it was easy in that sense. But all kinds of life scenarios.
and
I've
you're
a lot of students in the program.
you're
So
playing in your band too, right?
yeah, I was still playing music, I have to maintain that. So there was a lot going on.
We're going to get you to play for us one of these webinars. I keep saying that we are going to have to do that. That would be so fun.
I've got the instruments right behind me. So just let me know.
Oh, we're going to do that before we get off here. I'm going to make sure we save time. That'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be great. And just real quick, so since we're talking about time, what our students tell us in the online program, one course is equivalent to about an average of 18 hours per week per course. So one course is about 18 hours. So if you're trying to think about it, and that's one of the questions on the personal statement, we talk about how you're going to incorporate into your lifestyle. You're going to have, you need, 15 to 18 hours a week. How are you going to do that? That is a question on the personal statement. So if you're doing 2 courses, you're at about 30 hours or plus a week. So you kind of have to keep that in check when you're thinking about the program and applying your personal statement. That's an important question. One last thing I'm going to just talk about because it came up here. There are folks that are on this call that say they already have a computer science degree, and they asked about the data science program. We do have a Master's of Science in Engineering and Data Science program. For that program, you do need to have computer science background. So you need either a graduate degree, you need an undergraduate degree in computer science or a minor in computer science, or maybe you took about 4 courses in computer science. But you need that computer science background for that program. The last way that you might be eligible is if you have a highly quantitative undergraduate degree, a STEM degree, a highly quantitative undergraduate degree, and then work experience as like a software engineer, et cetera, something that has to do with coding for 2 years of experience. Then that last bucket could also make you eligible to apply to that program. So we do have a data science program. We have a dual degree program. MCIT students who are in their last semester of MCIT can apply to the MSE-DS program as a dual degree student. What that means is that if they're accepted as a dual degree student into MSE-DS, they will take 4 courses with them, meaning 4 courses will count for MCIT, 4 courses will count for MSE-DS. They will only need 6 more courses to get that second degree. And that would all happen in your last semester of MCIT. So that's just kind of down and dirty about the MSE-DS program and the MCIT program and the MSE-DS program. I'm going to bring it up to the last slide just to go through what to do next. Brandon, get your instrument. Come on, play for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right. I'll do that before I hit the next slide. So this is fun. Love it.
I don't, it's a bass and it's not plugged in, so of course won't be as loud as it should be, but do you want me to play something while you talk, or you want me to just
Yeah, that's a
show off?
great idea.
Okay.
Let me share my screen. Okay, so Professor Krakowsky is, oh wait, we can't hear you. Brandon, we can't hear you.
Can't hear it?
No.
Yeah, sorry, it's not plugged in, so.
All right, well, we're gonna plan for this next time, okay?
Why
We're
don't
actually
you can
gonna
just watch
allow.
me and imagine what it sounds like.
There we go, great. So everybody, if you have more questions, I know we gave you a ton of information. So we want to help you. We want to help you through the application process. Please, if you have more questions, I highly recommend you check out our FAQ database. Lots of great information in there, lots of questions in there and answers. So please check that out. We have private hours, private admissions office hours. Everybody on our missions team has office hours. We have office hours every day of the week except Friday. And they're at various times. We have evening hours, morning hours, et cetera. So please sign up for office hours. We're happy to answer your questions. There's our email address. So please email us with any questions. We typically get back to emails within 24 hours. And there's information at the bottom about those 2 Coursera courses to help you get a good feel for the MCIT program. And again, to give you some introduction to online learning, and that's computational thinking for problem solving, and our introduction to programming and Python Java specialization, which Professor Krakowsky teaches that last one. So again, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it. Professor Krakowsky, thank you so much. You were amazing, letting us know about all your courses. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, hope to see you soon. And everybody have a wonderful weekend. Take care now. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Thank you.